Hi, I'm Pixie Lott and welcome to CRY's annual Parliamentary Reception.
The boys and the girls, they got it going on, and when the beat kicks in, you feel it in your bones, and when the basement cracks and the needle drops.
I have had a good time. It's a pleasure to be down here today supporting CRY.
I mean, these evenings are very important. It's a great opportunity to meet the MPs, and it's also great to meet Pixie Lott as well.
It's moved on from just MPs talking to us to pop singers singing for us, so that's very nice indeed.
She'd already done 20 interviews today to promote her new record, Broken Arrow, and yet she still fitted us into her evening. And I think that's quite remarkable, to be able to pick up a microphone and just sing in front of a couple of hundred people without any warm-up. You know, that is an extraordinary gesture to make to support CRY.
Charity CRY because I saw a school cover my song Boys and Girls on YouTube, and they did such a great job, and it was all in aid for CRY. So I went down to the school and I met the kids and I found out more about it, and I just don't think there's enough awareness, especially young people. I didn't have a clue about it, so I wanted to just become involved and hopefully help raise a bit more awareness.
Most importantly, though, this is an event about the MPs. You know, this is their house. Actually doing this in the House of Commons, where government comes from, fundamental. Everything we need to do is change what's happening, get what we do recognised. If we don't make progress in the House of Commons, we'll never get there. Tonight we had the Minister of Health, Simon Burns, speaking. He was a member of our all-party group before he became a minister.
The key to tackling sudden cardiac death in the young is a combination of improving the experience of the families and a better understanding of the conditions themselves.
There is a massive amount of lack of knowledge about the fact that so many people die of this disease, and I think there must be a massive amount of misdiagnosis right across the country.
My idea with the ambulance service is to make our staff aware that yes, young people do have cardiac conditions, and all we have to do is take them seriously.
And I think if members of Parliament start understanding about it more, raising it in Parliament with ministers, maybe we can make a bit of a difference.
When I started CRY in 1995, almost invariably the message was better off not to know. And I used to say, so better dead. A young person, better dead? And they'd say, actually, yes. But that was because they didn't know any better. They've only got to come to our reception to know better.
I'm James Bailey, and I was diagnosed with Wolff Parkinson-White syndrome about 18 months ago by the CRY team. I remember going into school that day, just laughing and joking with my friends, then coming out realising I had this problem. I then made the huge mistake of looking it up on the internet, and Wikipedia is not the best place to go for medical advice. Although I did find that Meat Loaf and Marilyn Manson both had the same problem. I'd like to thank CRY for all the work they do and continue to do. And I know it sounds very cliched, but without them, I might not be here today.
Well, two friends of mine who both work with me at the BBC lost their son, Tom, who was 14 when he died.
To lose a young person must be the most devastating thing in the world. I, today, for the first time, have brought my children with me. And when I look at them, I can honestly say that I would not know what to do if something happened to them. And I don't think I would be as brave as you, and would probably never be the same man again.
You just want to minimise the chances of that happening to other families, that devastation, that loss, that grief. Anything you can do to try and stop that, I want to help try and do.
So I have to admire your dedication, your commitment and your support, and I hope that the legacy of your loved ones lives on in the development of cardiac risk in the young. Thank you very much.
As Sanjay Sharma emphasised earlier on, a death of a youth is a life-changing experience, and the immense amount of research that CRY has done and the efforts that they're making to identify these people who are at risk, because it can be life-saving.
The reason I joined the Surgery Support Network is because I had an incident where I collapsed and died for 7 minutes, and they brought me back using defibrillators. And then after being diagnosed with my condition, which is Brugada syndrome, I found out about CRY.
The work that CRY does is so important because it's important to raise awareness about a number of conditions that can be quite common in the course of cardiac death.
Again, I don't think enough people know about the disease and what can happen, and they do so much for the people who have, suffered from it or are suffering from it.
It's also important to make sure that the lives that have been lost by a few people are remembered, and that they are turned to as much as a positive thing as can be done by raising funds for research and for memorial trusts and things like that as well.
But we have got to get to the place where people understand these conditions and recognise them.
The more people know about conditions that exist, the less likely we are of finding bereaved parents down at CRY.
I would just think more funds, more resources, more screening is, and I know screening is incredibly expensive, and it's difficult to screen the entire population.
Screening is controversial because sudden deaths are regarded as a low event in young people.
But as much screening as possible, it's got to be good. The more lives we can save, it's got to be the way forward.
And an 18-year-old dying has lost 60 or 70 years of life, and I think one cannot put a price on life.
Even if you go through 100 ECGs, it saves one life. That's the most important thing about it.
I want CRY to be a household name. I want young people to turn to each other and say, "You mean you haven't been screened?"
So many people die each year from undiagnosed heart syndromes. I think it's so important that CRY helps stop this and raise awareness of such problems to save people like me.